letting go of our old beliefs, letting go of our old mindsets and all the things that we kind of clutter our minds with going through a toxic relationship. Good morning, sunshine, and welcome back to another edition of Shine Buzz Daily. Happy you're here. Today, we are going to talk about how to let go of our old beliefs and why, and what all that means for people who have gone through a toxic relationship and had to rethink everything and open our minds to new, better ways to think, better ways to feel, and to our true, actual selves and beliefs. It's going to be really good. So let's catch a shine buzz. So when you go through a toxic relationship, especially if you're also raised by a toxic parent, but even just a long-term toxic relationship, you build up a lot of beliefs in your head that kind of aren't your own beliefs. And I've talked about this in the past, but today we're going to talk about how to let go of all this stuff. The truth is, a lot of us have never even given it much thought in the past, like, where did I get this idea or where did I get that idea? We just assumed it's true. And I have personally experienced that on many occasions. So one story I've told repeatedly about this exact topic is I was at the grocery store one day and I was checking out and the lady behind the counter handed me my change and she said, "Here's your change, honey." And instantly I was like, what? I didn't say it out loud, but I bristled. I felt kind of annoyed by it and I didn't know exactly why I felt this way, but I felt some kind of way about it. And the lady didn't do anything wrong. She was perfectly nice. Of course, I was polite and I said, "Thanks so much." And I went out to my car and did my thing. On the way home, though, I thought about it and I thought, why did it bother me so much? Why did that? It shouldn't have bothered me. That was a sweet lady. She didn't do anything wrong. She was perfectly polite and nice, and it was kind of sweet that she called me honey, really. And as I thought about it, I recalled being 10 or 11 years old in my mother's kitchen and hearing her say to me, "You know what, I don't like it when people call me baby or sweetie or honey, because when they do, then I feel minimized as a person." Well, this may have been because she was a very young mom, or who knows why it was. But at that moment, I took that belief into myself, right? And I decided that I too believed that. And in reality, as I would discover many years later, I don't really have a problem if somebody wants to call me baby or sweetie or honey, as long as they're not doing so in a condescending way, you know. So hey, just call me, right? Anyway, here's another example. You may have similar religious beliefs as your parents, or you may have previously had similar religious beliefs. But let me ask you something. Have you ever taken the time to sit down and think about whether or not that religion really suits you the best? Is it really right for you? Or did you just continue what you were taught all along as a child? Now listen, I just want to point out here that whatever your religion is, I'm totally cool with it and I support your choices, right? But religion is just one of many examples of different beliefs that we may have picked up from our parents and other people in our lives. And some of those people were toxic people. So if we are able to kind of step back and rethink everything, I think a lot of times this is the beginning of waking up for us. It's like a new evolution in our lives. It doesn't have to be related to religion. Don't misunderstand me. You believe what you believe and I fully support your beliefs, right? But there may be other things in your life that maybe you thought, I don't know, that dogs and cats were the same thing because you were always told that and you never understood why your dog and cat never got along. You know, that's a lame example, but you get the idea. But the good news is that you do have the option to change what you believe by simply examining those beliefs. I'm going to share with you 7 techniques that will help you sort of assess what you believe and decide how much of it you actually believe and what maybe you don't believe or what beliefs aren't serving you anymore. Number 1, is it preventing you from learning new things? Your old beliefs might be stopping you from learning new things, basically. A lot of times when we think we know something, we can't see past that. I mentioned in a recent live stream that I am always content to wonder and wander, and I'm always content to find out I'm wrong. It's okay with me if I'm wrong. I want to know the truth. I don't necessarily need or want to hold on to my beliefs so tightly that I'm not open to new truth as it becomes discoverable to me. Does that make sense? Because if you think I know that for sure, then you can't be open to any new beliefs. So knowledge is awesome, right? But when it stands in the way of you learning a new truth or understanding something on a deeper level, it's almost like poison. Number 2, question everything. So just like I said, ask more questions, be more interested, be more curious. Don't assume that you know all the answers based on what you've previously experienced. It is possible to learn while you listen, but unfortunately it's difficult to learn while you're speaking. So my advice is to ask questions and then open your mind to the possibilities. Open your mind to the answer and don't be scared to know something new that you didn't know before. Number 3, pretend you're a beginner. So that's exactly what it sounds like. For example, let's say that you are a writer, right? And maybe you meet a young writer who's just getting started and they've really made a big splash on the scene. And maybe you think, I don't even need to listen to this person because they obviously don't know what they're talking about. I've been doing this for years. I've been successful. Everything's awesome over here. Why would I think they have anything to teach me? You might be surprised at what a new person could teach you. Maybe they're telling you about their latest publishing deal and you think, I already know all that, so you don't even really hear it. But if you take the time to listen and pretend maybe you're a beginner, even though you don't need to tell them you're pretending this, pretend to be a beginner and listen to them with open ears and an open mind. You might be shocked. You could learn something that could really change your career for the better. The same is true about literally almost any topic. So pretend that you know nothing about a topic. Just be open to whatever you hear. Like I said, even if you're the leading authority of all the authorities on something, there are still some things you don't know. We can't know everything. So why not be open to new possibilities and new truth? It could prove amazing for your life. You're going to have a better chance of finding out that new information if you actually give it a chance by being open to it. So just pretend to be a beginner. Number 4, determine if your beliefs are really beliefs or if they're actually truth. So beliefs are personal. Everybody believes what they believe. I mean, technically, we don't really know all the answers to anything. Beliefs are not always provable, like, for example, the religion example, and very often not more correct than other beliefs. And just, for example, that one that I talked about with the lady in the store calling me baby sweetie or honey, that example, it shows it's a personal thing, right? Like, you might feel differently than I feel about it, and that's okay. It doesn't make either one of us wrong. But remember this, in general, a truth doesn't require constantly revalidating. You know the truth is the truth when you're talking about something like gravity. Gravity exists. It helps us stay stuck to the earth as far as we know. Number 5, figure out where that belief came from. So where did your beliefs come from? For example, if you think women are better than men, who told you that? If you think men are better than women, what made you think that? Or let's say you think you're really good at managing money or editing books or writing stories or golfing. Where did that information come from? Who told you that? What made you think that? The point is, figuring out where each belief came from can very often help you decide whether you need to reevaluate it or not. So figure out what the source of it is. Like I said before, a lot of our beliefs came from our parents, and some of our parents may have been toxic, or maybe they just were misinformed. So a lot of times just knowing the source of the belief, knowing where we got that idea from, it's enough to sort of let us know, do we need to revisit that again, like I said. On the same note, maybe you have a belief that you just believe is set in stone, but you haven't taken the time to actually figure out where did it come from, what does it mean. You might actually want to rethink it. You might actually want to revisit it, especially if you figure out that it came from somebody who's toxic in your life. Do you understand what I mean? Number 6, let go of your identity. I know this is a hard one, but what I'm saying here is if your identity is built around what you believe to be true, you might need to sort of release it for a minute and rethink it. Now, this happened to me when I went no contact with certain toxic people in my life. I really had to rethink everything I thought was true. We build our identities around what we believe to be true, and thankfully I reassessed that because I realized it was okay to be myself and my identity wasn't what they told me that it was. For example, maybe we think I'm not very smart, or we think my body just isn't right, or we think I'm sick all the time, or we think I'm the smartest person I've ever met, or we think I'm the nicest person I've ever met. Maybe we think to ourselves, I'm conservative and I believe conservatively, or I'm liberal and I believe liberally, or we think I'm really bad at math and I just can't learn it, or we think I'm lazy, or I'm not smart enough, or I'm crazy, or we identify ourselves by our careers. I'm a YouTuber, I'm a life coach, I'm a teacher, I'm a this, I'm a that. Bottom line, we tend to take what we believe and we tend to associate ourselves and our identities with those things. For example, if you think you're naturally overweight, oh, my family's all overweight or we're all big boned, you're probably going to stay that way. I'm working on changing that belief myself. It makes it a lot harder to lose weight if you believe you're supposed to be a certain way. And just like if you think you're no good at math, you will probably have a much harder time learning math. That's why, for example, I'm always telling my kids when they say things like, I'm always struggling in this subject, or I never feel this way. I always say never or always say, I'm working to improve my skills in this subject, or I'm easily improving my skills in that subject, whatever. Try to focus on what you do want, not what you don't want. That's because it's so much harder to change anything about yourself or grow in any sort of way if you think that's just who you are. Do you understand? Really, almost anything that we are, we can choose to change through believing first believing that we can do it, and then taking inspired action to get there. But if you don't believe that you can change something because you think that's just who you are, you're stuck, my friend. Number 7, assess the cost of your belief. So what do I mean by this? Well, different beliefs come with different price tags, right? I'm not talking about necessarily monetary prices. I'm talking about life consequences. So really step back and take a look at what you believe and decide, how are these things are impacting you? Become aware of how these things are actually affecting you in your life. Since everyone's beliefs are personal and changeable, try to think about which of your beliefs is positive in your life and which ones maybe aren't so positive for you. If something is making your life more challenging, maybe you want to think about reassessing whether you really believe that or not. And the truth is, if something isn't serving you, it might feel better to let go of it anyway. Look, we are all affected by what we believe, and in fact, we are in so many ways formed by what we believe. But when our beliefs aren't serving us or they're holding us back, it's always a good time to reassess them. But for people who have survived toxic relationships with narcissists, and this again is especially true for those who grew up with narcissists, but also for anyone who's been in any long-term relationship with a narcissist or a toxic person, it's especially important for us to take the time to reassess our beliefs, to refigure out, reconsider everything, because what you know to be true might not be true. And I found that out the hard way. So maybe you can take the time now. I'm going to give you a little homework. Write down 10 things that you ultimately believe to be true. And go down the list and write down next to each belief who or what made you believe that thing, and maybe why if you know. And then go down the list again and reassess that. And decide, does each person next to each belief, first of all, are they someone you want in your head and someone you want to be like? And if not, why would they put that belief in your head, and how deep does it go for you? And is it something you can reconsider? Would it be better for you to believe something new? This is similar to an exercise I do with a lot of my clients where I tell them, write down 10 things you believe about yourself. And in this case, we're talking about negative things, negative things you believe about yourself, and figure out where each of those beliefs came from. And then let it rest overnight and then come back to it. And next to each negative belief about yourself, cross that out and write the truth as you want it to be or as it really is, right? So for example, I believed that I was not good enough and, lazy and blah, 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 blah. And when I realized, well, I have a little touch of ADD and I have this going on and that going on and my creative side is really good, but yes, I am a little disorganized, but it doesn't make me lazy, then I needed to reassess the belief that I was lazy. You understand? A lot of our beliefs are unhelpful. A lot of our beliefs are limiting us. And a lot of our beliefs came from people who didn't have the right or the insight to put it in our heads. So take the time to reassess everything you believe to be true. It's a big assignment, but it's something you can do over the course of years. You don't have to rush. For now, just open your mind and be open to new ideas and be willing to admit that maybe you've believed something wrong all this time. It will really open your world up in big ways, and it will change your life in such amazing ways. Your old beliefs don't have to control you. Be the creator, the master, the boss of your own life, not someone who is stuck in the old ways because they can't get past their old beliefs. Interesting concept, right? And I think it's time to give you a little more homework. Get your pen out and grab your paper because it's time to read the cards. As always, we are starting with the Dialectical Behavior Therapy deck, the DBT deck, and this will be linked in the description below. And our card today is our first mindfulness skill from this deck, which I'm really excited about. It says, practice mindfulness on a single object. Pick an object on which to practice mindful focusing. Sit quietly and relax using mindful breathing. Now observe the various qualities of the object. What does the surface look like? What color is it? What makes it unique? How does it feel in your mind? Practice this today for 5 minutes. That is your assignment today, mindfulness on a single object. And now let's pull our daily affirmation card for today. Our daily affirmation card comes from the Gabrielle Bernstein Super Attractor deck. This one's a good one. It is really kind of perfect for today. It says, the universe powerfully responds the instant I realign with love. So if you think about this, if we're talking about changing our beliefs, or at least checking them and making sure that they're accurate for us, this could help you. Because the minute that you realign with love or realign with what feels right to you, the universe powerfully responds. It's a beautiful thing, my friend. Now it's time for the question of the day. And the question of the day is, can you think of any beliefs that you previously had or currently have that you need to rethink or that you maybe rethought and changed? Share your thoughts, share your ideas, share your experiences in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. As always, thank you so much for being a part of my day and a part of my life. And hey, thanks for letting me be a part of yours. It really does mean a lot to me. I'll see you soon.